Hey basketball guys, we have news. Let's go to more news from the Golden State Warriors, but before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Bob Myers' departure from the Warriors was a real blow, but it was necessary to move on and they hired manager Mike Dunleavy, Jr., who still hasn't shown the same boldness and effectiveness as Bob Myers. Bombshell Bob Myers interview explodes in the NBA. The Golden State Warriors have captured 4 NBA championships during their current Steve Kerr and Stephen Curry-driven era, which has also included big names like Draymond Green and Klay Thompson, the latter of which formed a duo the likes of which has never been seen with Curry. Ex-Warriors GM Bob Myers now works as an analyst on NBA broadcasts. His hoops acumen was instrumental in the Warriors' recent successes, but he stepped away from the team in May 2023 to focus on other opportunities. On Tuesday, Myers shared his latest thoughts on why he decided to leave the exciting Dubs franchise for different pastures. "I was done. I just couldn't do it. I care too much to not give my best," Myers said according to reporter Law Murray of The Athletic. Myers has since found himself locking wits with Stephen A. Smith and other big-name NBA dignitaries on broadcasts, bringing his hoops knowledge to a wider audience. The Myers news came amid a Stephen Curry update regarding the family business and his children's involvement with recent projects. Meanwhile, ex-Warriors fan favorite Jordan Poole posted classic photos of his time with the Dubs, sparking fan reactions. The Dubs are set to open the 2024 NBA preseason on October 9 on the road against the Sacramento Kings, 2 days before the Kings return the favor with a visit to the Bay Area to take on the Warriors on the road. The exhibition game will give the new-look Warriors a chance to get their feet wet against coach Mike Brown's Kings, now that Klay Thompson is in Dallas with Luka Doncic and the Mavericks. The Warriors have plenty of players who are chomping at the bit to prove they belong at the highest level of basketball. Andrew Wiggins and Brandon Podziemski are among the holdovers who will be tasked with making up the missing scoring lost by Thompson's addition to the Mavs. If Andrew Wiggins and the potential future All-Star Podziemski can ratchet their games up a notch or two, they have the talent to send Curry off into the sunset on a winning note. If not, the Warriors could find themselves in full-on rebuilding mode by the time next season rolls around. Bob Myers left the Warriors with far from an empty cupboard when he left last spring, but there is still much work to be done to transform this roster into a playoff contender. Stephen Curry can't do it all. Now, it's time for the Warriors' other pieces to step up and show what they can do on the NBA's biggest stage. The Warriors need Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga to be compatible this year. One of the most critical storylines of the season. There's no shortage of things that went wrong for the Golden State Warriors last year. Fill a page with the numbers 1 through 100 and start filling them out with how the Dubs ended a promising campaign with a humiliating play-in tournament loss, and you'll soon be writing 101 on another page. The issues with the team came by the dozens and the hundreds. One of the biggest issues, and one of the ones that eventually became most talked about, was the team's utter awfulness when Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga shared the court together. The numbers were nothing short of dramatic for the bulk of the season, though a late-season surge helped bring them back to mediocrity rather than atrociousness. There was a common refrain when discussing the inability of those two to play together, an issue that was so in the open that Steve Kerr even addressed it numerous times. It was said that Wiggins and Kuminga were redundant, which always seemed like a dishonest word to me. If the Warriors could clone a second Steph Curry and start him next to the first Steph Curry, they'd have the world's most redundant backcourt, and I'm pretty sure they'd be the best offense in the NBA. The problem with Kuminga and Wiggins wasn't that their skills were redundant, it was that their weaknesses were redundant. Which is to say that both had mediocre three-point shots, a tendency to stagnate and isolate on offense rather than play within the motion system, and an issue with defensive lapses and forgetting to rebound. Some players just don't fit on the floor together, and that's okay. But it's not okay if those players are Wiggins and Kuminga, because the Warriors simply cannot afford to have the minutes totals for those two players add up to 48 or fewer on any given night. Wiggins is only 2 years removed from being an all-star, and is on a massive 9-figure deal for the Warriors. The hope and goal is that he's a starter. But Kuminga is one of their prized lottery picks who, if he is to reach an extension agreement before the October 21st deadline, will also be on a 9-figure contract. He was probably the Warriors' third-best player last year, and deserves to be playing starter minutes. Those two things are not compatible unless Wiggins and Kuminga are compatible. Even if they are compatible, things will be complicated as Kerr tries to allocate minutes. A starting lineup with both of these hyper-athletic wings would have to include Kuminga at the 4, the only position Kerr has been comfortable playing him, which would slide Draymond Green to the 5. Not only does that remove Tracy Jackson-Davis from the starting lineup, but it makes the Dubs notably worse defensively. They were much better last year when they put TJD in the starting lineup and let Green shine as a versatile 4. So how do they get to a point where Kuminga and Wiggins are compatible? For the youngster, it means become more fluid in the motion offense, and increasing his three-point shooting. For the veteran, it means returning to his all-star ways, or at least near them. It's a stunningly simple plan, but much easier said than done. The Warriors tried to trade Wiggins this offseason, and failed. And they were seemingly open to trading Kuminga for a big name. If they find out, be it in training camp or the first few weeks of the season, that these two still can't play together, they'll surely have to revisit those conversations.